This video is brought to you by Patreon provider Scott. So here we are, 50-yard line with the Vortex Micro 3X Magnifier. The first thing I have to mention is the silhouette. It's big, but it's big because everything is rigid. Both my camera and the magnifier are rigid. I can't fine-tune it forward and backwards to try to eliminate the silhouette any better. And with that, let's put a red dot in front of this. I'm going to start by using the Vortex Spark AR sent to me by Scott. Now take a look how narrow it is looking through it. Once I drop down the magnifier, it completely changes the field of view looking through the red dot itself. That was the thing that I found most impressive with this right off the bat. My initial thoughts on the Spark AR are not too good simply because of how narrow the field of view is looking through it. The body of it's very large and the viewport is very small. With the magnifier, changes all that. Swapping in a Holosun 510 with the green dot, you'd expect similar results with such a wide field of view optic as is. And you'd be right. It's simply beautiful to look through. Don't worry that the reticle is not dead center on the magnifier. We'll touch on that soon. Keeping everything Holosun, here's a 512 gold dot. Again, same exact results. You look straight through it. Despite the fact that the 512 and the 510 both have really good field of views looking through it, it's still impressive. So how does it handle a really bright reticle, you might be saying? Back up on top, we have the Holosun 510, which gets ridiculously bright. And as you can see, it washes everything out pretty good. But I think that has more to do with the actual Holosun itself. Remember how I said not to worry about the reticle not being perfectly centered inside the magnifier? Well, we're going to do a little bit of a demonstration here. I was always curious to see how a magnifier would work setting up behind a red dot such as this, or technically a green dot. So I purposely shifted the 0 over as far as I could, and then made an adjustment to the magnifier to see how well it would track over. And as you can see, it does a phenomenal job of keeping great line of sight behind it, keeping the eye box exactly the same, and not distorting the image whatsoever. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a huge shooting range I can go to with multiple targets, but what I do have is an 80-inch steel door at about 400 yards. Talking about the magnifier first, the image is very sharp, clear, and bright. There's absolutely no issues with the glass whatsoever, with maybe the slightest bit of fisheyeing at closer distances due to parallax. Jumping over to the reticle itself, the 2 MOA dot dead center might not look perfectly round, but I do not think that is due to the actual magnifier. I think that's due to the Holosun reticle. I will talk more about that on the final review of both the 510 and the 512 by Holosun, because it is something that you will note in all of these videos, and something I'm going to touch on very, very soon. The only downside to this magnifier is, I believe, the very short eye box, but I want to touch on that at the very end because it's a very minor gripe to something that I believe is there for a reason. I also figured this was a good time to dust off my Vortex UH1 and put it in front of this magnifier. I had a difficult time recording the reticle for that review, and here is no different. It looks kind of blotchy and washed out, but to the naked eye, it's a lot better. Also, when I go to change the brightness like I'm doing right now, it does not flicker in real life. The refresh rate on this laser is a little bit off, and it shows. And last but not least, I had a Strike-Fire 2 on my shelf. This most humble of optics that I have in my arsenal, you will note, has a razor-sharp red dot right in the center when magnified. That is why I think the Holosuns are actually blurry and not the magnifier itself. And this is what the magnifier by itself looks like looking at 400 yards. The image is excellent. Brightness, color, contrast, everything is really, really impressive. Last but not least is a little bit of an eye box test, and with it you're going to see just how good you can get the silhouette around it. It's not razor HD levels of thinness, but it's still pretty usable. However, you still have to get it really close to your eye to be able to look through it properly. I want to touch on that right now in my final thoughts. So there you have it. Vortex Micro 3X Magnifier. This is my first time using a magnifier, and I have to say I understand it, I get it. And I actually really like it. It doesn't particularly fit with any of my systems because I'm a really big fan of LPVOs. I like simplicity. And for me, simplicity is having one thing that does multiple things. but that completely boils down to personal preference. If you are someone that has a really nice high quality red dot, or even a more budget friendly red dot, if you're looking to get a little bit more out of it, a magnifier is a great option. Granted, this one is around $300 or so on Amazon. It's a lot of money. But if you have a $3, $4, $500 red dot reflex, this will certainly enhance it threefold. The glass is great. The controls are great. Everything about it is really, really nice, except for the slightly tight eye box. But I think that's a two-part problem. One, this is a micro magnifier, so they're doing a lot with the glass in a very small package. And two, I believe this is more designed to sit right behind a red dot that's already at a good distance on an AR-15. And with that, this will put it pretty much exactly where it would need to be in that sort of situation. So you're torn between running a red dot and a magnifier or an LPVO, and you're more or less worried about weight. What does this thing weigh at? Well, online, I think it's 6.9 ounces without and 9.55 ounces with the mount. 9.21. And just for shits and giggles, let's throw on a Holosun 512. 17.6 ounces, let's call it. I don't have much handy, but I do have a Trijicon AccuPower 1-4 and a regular Vortex cantilever non-quick adjustable mount. So as near as makes no difference, about 5 ounces heavier with this setup. But the AccuPower is very light. What happens if you're going with something with a little more weight to it? Well, you're absolutely right. I have a Sig Whiskey 1-5. And just to keep it simple, the same mount. As near as makes no difference, an extra 3 ounces. This is a lighter combo. Not only that, this quick release mount allows it to come off very easily. So at any time you want, you can remove 9 ounces off your gun like that. I really like this. And if you're considering one, I would say go for it. It's a fantastic piece of glass and something I would personally buy if I had to. Once again, a huge thank you to Patreon supporter Scott. If it wasn't for him, this review wouldn't have been possible. So thank you again, and thank you all very much for watching. See you again next time.